All righty, I've got head coach Hallmark with me. We just finished off a weekend series sweep against Florida Atlantic with a win on Tuesday night over Texas State. Looking forward to traveling to Fort Worth to take on TCU and then UAB for our third conference weekend of the year. Coach, if you want to get us started with an opening statement.
Well, I see Mike. I'm glad to see you, Mike. You look wonderful, man. You look better than I look for a guy who just had surgery.
It's one of these things, and you and I talked about this before I went into this. This is my second time to do this, and so I think having gone through it before, it just meant a huge difference as opposed to the first time. But we're looking to come back. We're going to try to come back for the Tulane series.
Awesome. Well, you look wonderful. Happy to have you back. Yeah, it was a good weekend. I mean, sweeping anybody's good, but that's a good ball club in FAU. So pleased with the way we played. We can get better on defense, certainly, but pleased with the way we played.
Jerry, you got anything for us?
Yeah, Coach. I just wanted to ask you a little bit about the Horned Frogs. 21-8 this season. See, I think they've won. I hope I've got these stats right. 7-0 in midweek games this season, and 14-0 midweek at home, dating back to the 2023 season. Sounds like a pretty tall challenge for the Roadrunners tomorrow. Can you talk a little bit about what you see in the Horned Frogs?
I'm just curious, who was their last midweek loss? If we're talking 2023, it might have been the Roadrunners. I don't know, but we did beat them. I believe it was 23. We beat them in 22 or 23, but that's a tall task. I was just curious. I didn't know any of that until you mentioned it. I didn't even know they were undefeated in midweek this season. We're pretty locked into who we're playing next, which happens to be them, but I didn't know what they had done. But they've got a good Tuesday starter. They rely on they haven't told us who they're pitching, but a big physical right-handed pitcher named Baumier is who I expect them to pitch, who runs it up there about 95, and his best pitch is a really good changeup. So he's tough. That's why I think they're 7-0. Yeah, if that's an accurate record of what they're doing this year on Tuesdays, he's their Tuesday starter, and he's really tough.
Go ahead.
Coach Jerry mentions it's a tall task to go up to TCU and earn a victory like that, but with wins over Texas and Texas A&M on Tuesday, how do you feel those games have prepared you for games like this?
Yeah, they've prepared us. We're prepared. Our kids are resilient and persistent, two things we try to be. So we're prepared, but that doesn't guarantee anything. TCU is really good. Kirk Sarloos is a terrific coach. He's been doing this a long time, and he knows what he's doing. And their arms will be really good. They'll have as good a pitching as anybody we've faced. So yeah, but we'll be ready. I mean, I think we'll be prepared. Again, right now I want to focus on the defense. This was the first weekend that we weren't, we being the coaching staff, we weren't totally excited about our defense against FAU. So we need to improve that.
Jerry.
Coach, I think you guys are on pace for, you've got your 23 wins right now. I was looking back through the records. I think you're on pace to, come pretty close to matching what you did a couple of years ago when you won 38. How do you compare your ball club this year to the one from 2023 and the year before when those 2 years when you won 38? How do you think this team stacks up to those two other ones that were among your best?
That's a good question. I haven't really gone there. Those teams were a little bit older, just in terms of like age. Guys like Ian Bailey and Chase King and Tapia were kind of the leaders of those teams, and they were older players. I do think both teams are mature. For whatever reason, I think this current team is mature with younger players. Guys like Jordan Bain is one of the most mature kids on the team, and he's a true freshman. It's really remarkable how mature he is. And then the other two freshmen that are playing a lot are both mature kids. We've talked about it before. I think it's their coaching they got prior to coming here, not me. I think they were coached really well in Kevin Hodge growing up since they were 8 and 9 years old. They've been sitting around a dinner table talking baseball. And then, of course, some of our older guys are mature, which you would expect. Guys like Mason Lytle and James Tauzik are very mature people. And the reason that's so important, the reason I hit on the maturity is the game of baseball is a marathon, right? Like you hear that a lot, and it truly is. So it takes mature people to realize that you're not going to play good all the time, even in any single game. This weekend is very indicative. We fell behind in all 3 games, and people were not panicking or there was really not a lot of emotion, and I say that as a positive, very businesslike, very next pitch oriented, and I'm proud of that about them. I hope we continue to be that. So, I hadn't thought a lot about the question, but it is a good question. I'll have to give it some thought. But maturity is similar, and then age is different. Athletically, I think we might be tick more athletic this year. We have a good combination of physical kids that can really move pretty good, which you don't always see at a mid-major. And then I think pitching may be similar. Some older, experienced pitchers, guys like Luke Malone were the leaders of those teams pitching, and Braylon Owens is one of our leaders. He's mature. He's been around. So some similarities in the pitching, strike throwers.
Go ahead, Robin.
Coach, your 2 conference series down, and you got 2 good looks at 2 good conference opponents. How do you feel your team stacks up in the American this year?
So far, so good. I do agree with you. I think we've played on paper. I think we've played 2 of the better teams in our league. Charlotte went and swept Memphis, I think, on the road. They swept someone on the road, so that's hard to do. We took 2 or 3 at Charlotte, right? And FAU's got a good club, so we'll see how it shakes out. But we're in a good position right now. We need to keep playing good ball.
Caps, you got anything for him?
Yeah, I do. I'm looking at this lineup and having seen a couple of your games on ESPN Plus, I'm just absolutely, and we talked about this early in the season about your theory and bringing these freshmen in and letting them grow up on the fly, and they really have done that. And then you add Detlefson, who's just been awesome with a bat. And the guys at the top of the order, Lytle and those guys, it's got to be, if you just sit back and think about it, it'd be my opinion that you got to be happy that you got 3 catchers you can call on that are really good, and some guys who really stepped up, and especially the freshmen. And I'm so impressed with Bayin and what he's done. But I am really, really positive and excited about this bunch.
Yeah, we are too. I'm glad to hear you're able to sit back and enjoy some of it. We meaning the coaches, we don't feel that way. We always feel like there's a lot of work to do. That's just the nature of the game, and any coach feels that way. But hitting, when you think about hitting, it's very cyclical, and right now we got to get a couple guys back on track. Norris McClure is a little frustrated. I feel for him right now. He's working hard. The hits just aren't falling for him, and some other guys. So, but no, we do have a deep lineup. I think that's what you're getting at, 1 through 9. I think it was Saturday's game, 7, 8, and 9 in our lineup did all the damage, which is wonderful to see. So we hope we continue that, and at the same time, there's some guys on the bench that are meaningful players to us that don't get a lot of notoriety. Just wonderful people, guys like Josh Vaughn and Junior Maldonado, people that don't get to play a lot, but they mean a lot to us. So it's a deep group.
Go for it, Rylan.
Coach, you highlight the youth of some of your main contributors like Jordan Bayin, Caden Miller, Nathan Hodge. Do you feel like this particular freshman group from this year have the potential to carry your program for the next few years going forward?
I do. We're going to need some NIL support. There's no doubt about it in this day and age. You can't talk about next year and and the junior year of quality freshmen without immediately going to support outside of the locker room. So again, we need that. We hope to get that. But if we can keep this core group of young people together, it'll put us in a good position to continue to have success.
Jerry?
Hey, Coach, I was going to ask in regard to the Horned Frogs, their starting shortstop, Anthony Silva, played at Clark High School, and I was wondering if you knew Anthony and maybe, or perhaps recruited him, and just kind of what you think of him as a ball player.
I know Anthony Silva well. He's got a brother that's a freshman up there named Jacob Silva, who's a catcher and designated hitter, and Jacob and my son are friendly. Grew up playing together. So I know Anthony. We actually didn't recruit Anthony only because we weren't on Anthony's radar, if that makes any sense. But Anthony's a terrific player. I know his mom and dad, Mike and Olga, real well too. So great people, great family.
I think he had a grand slam against the Cougars the other night, Coach, or yesterday. I think he hit a grand slam on the Cougars yesterday.
Yeah, he can hit the ball a long way. This little area right here, just coincidentally, has had some real good ball players over the years. Flores, the shortstop at Texas. So Anthony's the shortstop at TCU, and he's a big prospect too, professionally. And him and Jalen Flores both played right here at Northside Little League, right up the road together on the same. They were the same age, and now they're big prospects and doing wonderful things for their club. So it's part of the reason I came back to San Antonio 9 years ago and came back here. There's very, very good amateur baseball in this area, and Anthony's an example of that.
Kind of speaking about a little bit last week, Gunnar Brown certainly broke through and had two really great outings with the start on Tuesday and then throwing one inning yesterday. Kind of talk about the impact of having that arm in your pin and then also being a guy that can throw on Tuesday.
Yeah, super important, right? When you talk about the impact, 2 wins in 1 week. We won 4 games, which is all of them, and he had the win in 2 of them. That speaks to the impact of him. And again, getting back to the maturity, the idea of being mature and handling adversity in this game and making adjustments, which is maturity. Gunner's done that wonderfully this year. Early in the season, I coached him fairly hard. I guess that's the way to say it. I challenged him a little bit about pitch usage and what he was doing in terms of the pitches he was choosing to throw. We like those guys to choose their own pitches. And he responded wonderfully. So his first outing, we weren't happy with his pitch usage. And since then, he's taken that firm coaching and answered the bell wonderfully. Super happy for Gunner.
Yeah, Jerry.
I'm good.
I'm good.
All right, Coach, I got a couple more for you. Your bullpen kind of came through this week as well. How important is that for whenever starters like Royce, Owens, Miles really don't have the best outing, not great outings, but how important is it for your bullpen to come through for you in these games?
Well, they were the difference. It's a great question. I'm glad you asked it because I'd be remiss not to mention guys like Christian Okerholm, and we've already talked about Gunner, and Jake Cothran came in twice against their best hitter, Marshall Lipsy, and we made an error on one of them, but he basically beat him twice. So Okerholm and Gunner were huge for us out of the bullpen, and Dove got some quality out. So it's very, very important. We need him to be able to do that. In this day and age, with all the video and metrics with TrackMan that people have, hitters are ready for the starting pitcher more so than ever before. Both our hitters and our opponents. There's no secrets in terms of what the starting pitcher is going to throw because everybody knows who the starters are, so they prepare, which makes that bullpen even more critical than they've ever been, and our bullpen answered the call. In 3 games, our bullpen walked 2 people. Kendall came in and had a little bit of a hiccup. He walked 2 guys yesterday. But other than that, in 3 games, we didn't walk anybody else out of the bullpen. and that was a big difference in the weekend.
Coach, the outfield is kind of solidified with these older guys with Lytle and Tausig, and then the newcomer Detlefson, who definitely had a great week. Kind of, what does that impact to have those three guys just kind of for sure at bat? They're going to give you good production in the lineup and in the field.
Yeah, the defense out there has been great. 3 outfield assists. I mentioned we didn't play wonderful defense this weekend. We did play wonderful outfield defense yesterday. We had the 3 outfield assists, which is rare in one game. That killed some rallies for FAU. But, yeah, most of the attention those 3 guys get is with their bat, and deservedly so. Yeah, they keep producing RBIs, base hits. Sometimes they produce with the walk. When people pitch around them a little bit, they're able to do some stuff on the bases too. So super good group. There's some other guys, again, not getting to play that can play too, but the outfield is just playing so well. It's hard to not put their name in the lineup, which is a good problem to have if you're a coach. So yeah, real happy with what they're doing.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. That'll wrap it up for us.
All right. Thank you, guys. Good to see you, Mike. Take care.